this is the EAS, the European External Action Service. It's a branch of the EU Commission. And basically, we're the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the EU. And so I'm representing actually the only state agency here. Everyone else is NGOs, journals, whatever. I'm the state. And our little group, it's a very small team. We were established soon, 5 years ago, in March 2015, when a bunch of middle-aged men and a few women decided to set up the East Stratcom task force as a response to aggressive and manipulative information campaigns where EU and member states were targeted. So we're talking about the European Council here, the heads of states and governments of the European states. That's the mandate from March 2015. And in last year, in December 2018, we received an action plan, much more detailed, what we are supposed to do. And in this action plan, we define the disinformation. Everyone else is using similar definitions, and we are defining as a verifiably false information that is intended to cause different kind of distractions to the public discourse in member states and the European Union. So what we're doing is we are tasked to document, detect, and debunk disinformation. And it's very important to remember that we are a communication team. We are not the army, we are not the police, we are not researchers, we are airheaded communicators, the bunch of us. We do not have access to fancy software. We almost do not have access to fancy hardware. We have very old and slow computers. We are sitting like idiots and Googling. That's what we are doing. This way we have created during our existence in 5 years, we have created a very well-functioning database, which is absolutely open for access to everyone, journalists, scholars, researchers, politicians, middle-aged men in ties. Anyone can use it. It's free and it's out there. You go ahead and check it out, EU-Desinfo.eu. Currently, it's slightly below 7,000 cases in this database, cases of lying. These are individual cases that we have, our small teams of airheaded communicators managed to Google up. Obviously, this is not all the cases of disinformation collected in the history of lying, of course. But in a way, it gives you a kind of image of patterns of disinformation. Our little group is, as I mentioned, very few. Can you imagine how many we are? We are 6. It's not very much, but we're geniuses, all of us. We are very closely working with other parts of the East Stratcom task force, working with positive communication, that is communicating EU policies to Eastern Europe and Russia. This is an entirely different task, but we're working very closely with them. We're also manning something called the Rapid Alert System, which is basically a chat room for the member states to talk about disinformation. So Sweden and Malta and Finland and Estonia can chat about cases they see, and we can communicate this way and have an all over Europe ongoing discussion on these kind of topics. I can say we are, apart from this very nice database, one of the greatest values of our site is a library. We have very efficiently collected other much smarter people than us, their research, their studies, their articles. So I think I can say that you can never find anywhere else on the internet such a concise collection of cases and methods, tools, backgrounds, research, whatever you can find on the topic of disinformation. It's there and it's accessible for a researcher. So we are obviously not able to stop people from lying. And we're not obviously able to document everything that is being lied about and all possible kind of lying, but we can at least we can demonstrate a will to tell the world that we are not content with disinformation and lying. I like to think of this little tiny project, underfinanced, understaffed, everything, as an act of defiance. A little token of the European Union actually trying to express a belief in democracy and a sound public discourse. This is basically, I think, what's the added value of what we are doing. Because we can't stop anyone from lying, can we? We can just tell the world how lying is looking like. And after 5 years, we start to see patterns. And we have found a little set of what we call narratives that are used. I have to also specify that we are only working with disinformation coming from Russia. Our team, East Stratcom Task Force, is tasked by following pro-Kremlin disinformation stemming from Russia or supporting Russian narratives. This is our task. That doesn't mean that EU thinks that Russia is the only one lying. It's only an identifying that currently Russia is the greatest actor, the most active actor in this field. So on the narratives, we have identified a handful of narratives that are consistently repeated in this effort. For instance, a conspiracy where an elite is fighting against honest people everywhere. These elite might be Jews or capitalists or pedophiles or whatever, but you can also always fill in it. It's like a template for lying. You can use this kind of narrative to repeat any kind of thing. You don't have to prove anything, because the less proof you have, the more convincing is the conspiracy. Other narratives, the threatened values, that the Christianity or the right to drink the special Swedish Christmas time beverage, julmust, is threatened. You meet these kind of narratives. The sovereignty is threatened. The imminent collapse is another very popular narrative. We have a very lovely kind of trope we can call hahaganda, which is like making fun of, for instance, EU institutions. In Sweden, we always hear the concept of the EU is trying to forbid these licorice pipes or the snus. And this is hahaganda. It's making ridiculous. It's making EU look ridiculous. And the last part is obviously the Russophobia, that any kind of criticism towards Russia is not based on facts or matter of facts. It's just some kind of weird fear in Sweden, for instance. Well, lots of talk. I will have a half an hour tomorrow also to chat about this, and feel free to ask questions.
Thank you so much.